For the first time in a very, very long time, welcome everybody here to Nascar Talk on the NSRA Sports Channel. I just realized that I messed up in the title of the episode as well. Have it as 24th. It's actually the 25th, so I'll fix that. My sister's looking at me like I'm an idiot. I thought you already knew this, but okay. If you want to join the discussion, you can do it one of two ways. We're going to be having a couple of people joining in here in just a moment. I've shot them the link. This is going to be hopefully occurring most Fridays when I'm down here at work, because usually Fridays are the slowest days that we end up having down here. And we're going to run usually about an hour from 11 o'clock a.m. to 12 noon, all Eastern Standard Time. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that. It's going to be a bit of a throwback because it's been a while since we've done this. I think the last time we did NASCAR Talk was last year, somewhere around June, July. So it's been almost, I guess, a full year. I'll be keeping up with the chat, the YouTube chat. You can voice your opinions and everything on topics that we talk about. And how cool is it that we're having NASCAR Talk come back on this channel right during the weekend of the Indianapolis 500 and the Coca-Cola 600, and just off the heels of the All-Star race. We're going to probably, once a couple of these guys hop in here, we'll start with the All-Star race and then move forward. I don't know if we'll necessarily cover the Indianapolis 500, at least as a top story. It may be like a thing later on, since that's not exactly NASCAR. And I don't have a whole lot of knowledge about IndyCar, and I'm, not saying that it's wrong to have an interest in IndyCar or anything. I'm just saying that normally I watch the Indy 500, and that's about it. Put it this way. 2 years ago, I didn't have a clue who Alexander Rossi was, but they kept saying that he had never won before, and I'm like, oh, wow, I really hope that this guy ends up winning the race. So that just gives you an idea of the knowledge of IndyCar that I have. I don't think it's even IndyCar. It's Formula One, isn't it? I don't know. I have no idea. All right, so right now, I know that we got two people that are going to be joining, Michael Norman and Johnny Gardner. Gardner is currently, I think, getting onto his laptop, so that way he'll be able to join. Michael said he would be joining in just a second. Like I said, this is going to be on Fridays from 11 to 12 Eastern Standard Time. Most Fridays, if there's a Friday that I'm not working, that I'm not called into work, we obviously won't have a NASCAR talk for that week. So I will keep you guys posted as far as that's concerned on Facebook, possibly on YouTube, or not YouTube, Discord as well. Some messages here. Let me look and see what they're about. Okay. So these are old messages. Alrighty. Hopefully I'm coming through all right for you guys. I forgot to bring down my actual headset with the microphone in it, so I'm using an external microphone right now. So hopefully you guys are able to hear me all right. You have Hangouts on your phone, Kev, I see. Hello to Kev, hello to Shane. See you guys there in the chat. I'm going to post this live stream on Facebook and on Discord real quickly here. And much like the stream that I had yesterday, if there comes up a point where a customer walks in or something, there'll be a little bit of radio silence on my end. That's the one advantage of having other people in here. They can carry on the discussion when I'm not here. Let's see. Okay, loud and clear. All right, perfect. Thank you, Kev. All right, let me actually post this on Discord now while I'm thinking of it. And there's Johnny.
Freaking iPad, I'll tell you.
Okay, you got.
Doesn't want me to connect. I got here through my computer, okay? My iPad, for whatever reason, I was able to do calls through that. Now it won't let me do it since it needs an update.
Oh.
I'm like, come on. It's too early in the morning for this.
Well, you got in sooner or later.
Yes, that is true, Seth.
Is that
is
press
true.
or is that a train? Alrighty, let's see. Just waiting on Michael, and then we can start getting into the news.
Does this mean my streak my new streak can begin as of today?
I guess so.
And it realizes it's one thing. One more week till my birthday's here. Yay!
Yay! I still got a while to go till my birthday, but I'm still old.
Aren't we both? And like I said to everyone yesterday, you're only 5 years older than me, but still, come on.
I'm still old.
That's fair enough.
I think that's Michael.
Hello.
I think you are.
Hello.
Hello.
All right.
Oh. That's fair enough.
Okay, so like I said, if anybody else wants to join in on the discussion via the live stream, plenty of spots open. Just let me know. I'll shoot you guys the invite link. Or if you're not able to join us, you can always join the discussion in the YouTube chat. Going to be keeping tabs on and everything. All right, so Johnny and Michael were the only two that I had down that were planning on joining prior to putting up the post. So we're going to get right into it. And we're going to actually step back a little bit, and we're going to go back to the All-Star race. I guess we'll include like the All-Star Open and all that as well. And let's first off talk about the rules package that they tested out with the restrictor plate, the larger air ducts in the front. We had the bigger spoiler.
Chat here, Seth. Sakuli and Kev wanted to have a link.
Ooh.
Oh, Kev wanted a link? I was looking to see if I didn't see him. I see Sakuli.
I'm looking at the chat right now.
All right.
Ooh. I say no, Kev.
I second that notion, but it's not my call.
Kev who?
Sheer Kev.
Hey, should we check and see if Landing Castle has a Cup Series ride this week?
Yeah. Hold on. Shane was like breaking news that they want to run the package that they ran at Charlotte for it. So
I wish it was possible to change like aero packages in 2003, because I would love to see that kind of package at like Charlotte.
But which kind of a
it would
package?
Be nice to see.
Kind of like a super speedway package?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we kind of saw something like that in the All-Star race.
Mm-hmm.
You had to have someone drafting with you, or you had to be in the slipstream of somebody in order to be able to get up to them.
Yep.
All right, well, I shot Kev a link, I shot Josh a link, but we're just gonna, because we've got like only 45 minutes left here, so we're just gonna go right into what I was gonna say here about the All-Star race. I'm gonna ask you guys a twofold question. Number one, did you like the new rules package? And number two, should it be implemented at other tracks, like other mile and a halves and whatnot? Johnny, I'll start with you.
Honestly, to be honest with you, I did like the package. It was different, but the thing of it is, if you implement it too, well, like they were saying, they were going to try to implement it for this week, but they said, who was it? Steve O'Donnell said it might be something to look into for next year.
Michael?
Say that again. What was the question?
The question was, are you paying attention?
The questions were, did you like the aero package? And B,
I'm sort of paying attention at the same time killing people as Jason Voorhees.
Okay, well, that's a nice pastime, I guess. The question was, did you like the rules package that they have for the All-Star race, and would you want to see it implemented at other mile-and-a-half tracks?
Oh, I would love to see it implemented on other tracks, but the only thing that sucks mainly is because I didn't get to see the race itself. I was working that night, so I really didn't get to see much of it. But from the highlights I saw, it looked pretty good.
And there's Joshua.
What's up, guys?
All right, well, Josh, since you just got in here right in the like at the tail end of the question, I'll ask you just as soon as you hop in and throwing you right into the fire. As far as the All-Star race, did you like the rules package that they had, and do you want to see that implemented at other mile and a half tracks?
I honestly do. Like, the NASCAR races, honestly, for me, have kind of been like a background running thing for the last last few weeks, honestly. And the All-Star race is the first race I really watched intently through like start to finish for in a while. So I think it would be good if they use it like for the whole season.
Yeah, I actually really liked it too, and I'll tell you another reason why I really liked it was because I understand that Kevin Harvick, has been dominant this year, and he ended up winning the All-Star race and everything, and everybody was saying, yeah, but he got that push from Joey Logano and everything, which is true. But the thing that I really liked though was you had a lot of your underdog drivers having an opportunity. That's why I like when we go to Daytona and we go to Talladega, because it puts everyone on a level playing field. Everybody's able to, if they're able to utilize the draft, be able to get up there and run well. I mean, you looked back at the All-Star race, you had guys like Daniel Suarez, you had AJ Allmendinger, who had run well during the open race. They were able to get up there and be running in the top 5 during the All-Star race. And I thought that was a perfect thing where you had a mile and a half track where you don't have your dominant drivers out in front the whole time or up inside of the top 10, all your predictable drivers. You end up having some other drivers that you might not normally expect to be up there, having an opportunity not only at a top 5, but potentially at a race win. So, if we could implement this at Atlanta, if we could implement it at Texas, I think with the close racing that you're going to have there and everything, I think it's going to get fans more invested in everything, because also too, let's be honest, we had probably a lot more passing in that All-Star race than we've had in the last 5 All-Star races, because everyone was so clumped up together. And that's what made it more interesting too, because it wasn't just everybody find your spot, remain status quo until we get to like 20 to go, get a late caution, and then everything picks up. It was actually action-packed all the way through the race, because it was constant side by side all the way through the field.
Yeah. It was actually pretty nice.
Another good thing was that there was no like BS this year, because I remember maybe a couple years ago when there were several cars a lap down and they never accounted for that to happen.
Yep, good point. Another question I got too, though, is let's say that they do implement it at other mile and a half racetracks. Is it possible that this same rules package could make better racing at bigger tracks, though, like your Michigans, your Auto Clubs? I mean, are those tracks too big, do you think, that something like this would be able to work? I mean, I know that they're talking about, I think they ended up running that a similar rules package with the Xfinity drivers at Indianapolis, but is that track too big if they tried implementing it in Cup?
Actually, I'm looking at it though for this year. The Indy package that they are using it's going to be back at Michigan and Pocono, so they're going to see how that goes. I would like to actually see it up in Cup. That's just me. And Shane just sent me a link here to an ESPN thing, and it was tweeted by Bob Pockrass about the plate package.
Yeah, I think I got shot that same link.
Yeah. Yeah, it says the Brickyard 400 in Indianapolis Motor Speedway would be supportive of it. Ooh, that's interesting.
Let's see.
And it looks like Kev's having some technical difficulties with
this.
Yeah,
according to Shane, 2017 passes under green for the lead in the All-Star race last year, 0. This year, there were 37.
Wow.
So there were no passes for the lead last year in the All-Star race?
Apparently not. Let's see. Noah the Boa 29. Everything about the package is fine, but no plates. Wouldn't they be going too fast if they didn't have plates, or no?
Are you talking about at Indy, Michigan? Well, in Michigan, you're topping out at almost 220 miles an hour into turn 1, so.
Oh, and Michael, just to clarify, 0 passes for the lead under green. There were passes under caution, but under
No lead
green,
changes under
no
green.
lead changes last year.
Dang.
Okay, so we saw obviously Kevin Harvick win the All-Star race. So now my next question would be, if they did implement that rules package, would it still be the same guys winning races, do you think? I mean, obviously we saw some drivers have some good finishes that were kind of underdog drivers, but would it still be the same guys like your Harvicks, your Truexes, your Kyle Bushes that would be winning races regardless of if they implemented that new aero package or not?
That would be tough to see, though, to be honest, but I don't know. Because
I think
currently,
it
I
probably
know
happened.
it could possible, but we'll have to see if it does happen. Though that's the thing.
Poor Chad. You never know.
Alrighty. Well, let's jump from the All-Star race then, and let's jump over to the Coca-Cola 600. Now, I think last year was the first time that they implemented where it was going to be 4 stages, 100 laps each. First question I've got is, do you guys like the fact that it's been split into 4 stages rather than have it be 3 stages? Do you think that takes away from the typical fuel strategy type finishes that we're kind of used to seeing in the 600? We'll start with you, Johnny.
It does take it away a little bit, in my opinion, because you know how it's 4 stages, okay, broken up into four 100 lap stages. But the thing of it is, it's the biggest race of the year, though, besides the Brickyard and besides the Daytona 500. But if it's something different, it should actually be broken up still into 3 stages, but you'd have to figure out how you would break up 3 stages into the 400 lap deal, though. Because I'm
Do
trying
100,
to think how
100, and 200.
if that would work, or I don't have, well, 100 and well, hold on, I'm trying to do the math in my head here. Just humor me, though. It wouldn't work the way I wanted it to work, but
Wait,
yeah, the 100.
Could you do 125, 125, 150?
That's what I was thinking would work. That would actually be kind of cool to see, though. 125, 125, 150. Yeah, that would equal out to the 400.
Michael.
I like that idea. I like the 3-stage idea. I'm not sure about the 4 stages, to be quite honest.
Josh?
I'm not honestly sure because, I mean, with last year's finish, but there's no guarantee that will happen like every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in agreement as well. Yeah, we did have the fuel strategy finish last year, but I think it was either Steve Letarte or it might have actually been Chris Rice said that even with 100 laps, they still have to make at least 1 pit stop, and then they're really close still on fuel. But that's only if they run green flag the entirety of that final stage, which there's no guarantee. If they get cautions, then they have the opportunity to either pit or save fuel and probably make it the rest of the way. I honestly think that with 100 laps, there's too much room for cautions messing up a fuel strategy race. And the thing that I think they said too was when you go to the Coca-Cola 600, there's always that sense of unpredictability with the fuel strategy races at the end, and that's, I think, a lot of the appeal. If you end up having a shorter 100 lap stage for the final stage, I think you're taking away from that unpredictability being a possibility, especially if you have a lot of wrecks under the final stage.
Yeah, and I just want to say something else. I think kind of like 3 stages would be better than 4, maybe, because the 600 is supposed to be an endurance race, and if you keep having kind of breaks in between every so often, it's not exactly an endurance race anymore. You know what I mean?
Yep, I definitely agree. Okay, so with that being said, do you guys see the stages getting swept by somebody?
Kevin Harvick.
You took the words right out of my mouth on that one.
Be like Martin Truex Jr. in 2015.
Yeah, what do you guys think? Truex dominated a couple of years ago. I mean, do you think that we're going to see a dominant Truex here this year? Because a lot of the tracks we go to that he seems to be dominant at, he hasn't really been as dominant as we kind of expected. So do you see a dominant Truex on Sunday night, or do we see him maybe like running 5th or 6th where he's been running at most of the tracks that, they kind of seem to single him out as a favorite at?
Well, look at it this way. He was very dominant last year. He won what, 8 races last year as compared to the only one at Auto Club this year. So we'll have to see what happens this time around.
Yeah, the Toyotas seem to have a little bit of speed this weekend, but obviously when the race comes, we'll see what happens. Qualifying is not exactly a good tell for the race. But I don't know. I feel like looking at Truex's performance this season, I feel like he's not quite up to par with challenge like Harvick and all of them for the lead,
Mm-hmm. Okay, another question I got for you guys too is, we talked about they implemented the rules package, nighttime conditions for the All-Star race. Now they're going back to the old rules package here at Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600. Do you think that's going to kind of swerve some of these drivers trying to figure out, okay, we were able to do this before, but that's when we had a bigger spoiler and we had a restrictor plate. How are we going to now be able to have a fast race car and, do it with the regular package we've had all year? I mean, do you think this puts guys like a Suarez, like an Allmendinger, who were able to utilize a draft package in the All-Star race? Do you think this kind of puts them behind the 8 ball now, trying to figure out how can we gain speed with our regular aero package?
It looks like the 8 ball is going to be shooken up quite a bit now with everything.
Michael, Josh, you guys got any opinions on that?
I agree.
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they'll have speed, but I think they're going to be just a little bit behind because they were relying on the draft package this time. Maybe some things that carried over from last week to this week, maybe they'd be running like maybe a top 10. But Suarez would probably have a top 10 anyway. But as for Allmendinger, I don't really think so.
Alrighty. We've hit the 11:30 mark, so why don't we finish off this half hour with our picks for who we think is going to basically be the race winner, who we would stay away from, and who we think would be a potential sleeper to pick for the Coca-Cola 600. So, Johnny, we'll start with you. Give us your winner, your guy to stay away from, and who you think could be the
hold on here, son. Hold on here. Since you're saying the winner, the driver to stay away from, and the sleeper, wouldn't we classify the 2 stage winners as well? Here too.
No, we're not going to count the stage winners. We're just gonna do the race winner. We're gonna go right to the end.
I was just throwing that in there though, but I'm gonna say this now. I'm like, because I was reading, because you know how there were cars that failed pre-qualifying inspection and stuff like that, and people didn't get out.
A lot of them.
A lot of them.
And let's not forget that Kevin Harvick never even got to set a time in qualifying. He's starting 39th.
Who's on the pole?
Kyle Busch.
Yeah,
Kyle Busch has the pole, I believe.
Yep, Kyle Busch has the pole at a 28-14. So anyway, I'm gonna say, since Harvick's starting 39, I'm gonna be surprised. I'll be surprised if Clint Boyer actually gets something this weekend. Granted, he's starting 28th, but hey, I've seen stranger things happen, so I'll say Boyer's going to win it.
Stranger thing.
Hey, come on now. Let me finish. I'm going to say Boyer to win it. I'm going to say Parker Kligerman is a big sleeper since he's back in a Cup car for the first time since 2014, I want to say.
What car is he driving? I didn't even see that on the entry list.
He's driving for the Gaunt brothers.
Oh, shoot.
96. And
I always see the 96. I keep thinking it's DJ Kennington, so I didn't even realize that Kligerman was in the car.
It's Parker. It's Kligerman.
Nice.
I'm gonna say the driver to stay away from. I hate to admit it, but it's Rowdy.
Really?
I can't stand Rowdy because he's been over the longest. No, he's been over the longest time at Charlotte, and he hasn't been able to get a points pain win.
He's either really good or he's really bad. There's never an in between.
Yeah, that's why it's a hit or miss. That's why I'm like, stay away from Rowdy this week, guys.
Makes sense. Makes very good sense.
Yeah.
All right. Michael, who you got?
Well, it's going to be a tough one to say because I really want to pick Kevin Harvick if he can get up to his pack. But I also think maybe Kyle will end up getting it.
Okay. Who's your driver to stay away from?
Not sure. Oh my God. Probably. I don't know. I honestly don't know. There's not really wreckers in the field that you think of, so I can't really definitely say.
We got a sleeper.
Parker Kligerman. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, look at that!
I think my sleeper pick will probably be William Byron.
Okay. All right, Josh, who you got?
Let's see. For my winner, let's see. I probably honestly have maybe Kevin Harvick for the win. Because, like, yes, he's starting 39th, but you already know that in about maybe 30 laps, he's going to be within the top probably 12. You know, and it's such a long race, too, with all the stages to help him get back up there. And with how dominant he's been this season, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he won this race.
All right.
Let's see. People to stay away from. Honestly, the whole Team Penske bunch. Because the Penske guys don't really have any speed this season compared to the other Fords. You know, and every time I want to pick Brad or Joey, they always finish like outside the top 10.
It's like unless it's a super speedway.
Pretty much. Let's see. My sleeper pick for this season, for this race, I mean, I would probably go with Jimmy Johnson because he ran well at the end of the All-Star race there. He was racing for the top 5 at the end of that.
All right.
It's funny. I'm looking at the sponsors for the Unites race this weekend. I love how it says for Brad, it says stars, stripes, and whites. I'm like, what?
Probably a playoff of, I don't know. All right. I think for my favorite, looking at it, I'm going to have to probably go I'm going to go, I guess, with the obvious guy, and I'm going to go with Martin Truex Jr. Just basically because of the fact we've had Harvick be so dominant. A lot of the tracks that he's been dominant at aren't exactly tracks that we have associated as a place where Truex would be considered a little bit cut above Kevin Harvick. I think that this might be one of the tracks where Truex would be able to, be able to dominate, be able to keep Harvick in his rearview mirror. So I'm going to go with Truex. He's, got 2 wins in the last 4 races. So he's really good at this racetrack. And that Toyota is not really that far behind the Stewart-Haas Racing Fords. So I think that Truex would probably be the consistent driver to choose out of the Toyota stable. The driver to stay away from, I've actually got 2, and it's surprising because, Josh said the Penske boys, the 2 guys I was going to say to stay away from were going to be Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano, because in the last 4 starts for both of them, they've only got 2 combined top 5 finishes. Blaney seems to always be good, but he always ends up getting caught up in wrecks either of his making or not of his making. It ends up taking him out of a good finish. And Logano's already got 1 win under his belt here, so he can afford a bad race, and this isn't exactly one of his better tracks, although his average finish in his career starts isn't too bad. He's got an average finish of 12th place in 18 starts, but his last 4 starts haven't really shown a lot of speed and a lot of really good runs. My sleeper, though, I was going to go with Daniel Suarez, but there's another guy that actually has been really
Sound
good
like you
at
said.
Charlotte, too, and he's a
Sound
former
like you said
600
Daniel
winner,
Suarez.
and that's Jamie McMurray. Has was it one top 5, 2 top 10s in his last 4 starts, average finish of 11th, and he got good qualifying position for the race on Sunday night in 7th place. I think that at a lot of tracks we go to, a lot of people don't really look at McMurray, but I think McMurray, especially here at this track, could be a guy to consider, not necessarily getting a win, but I think he could definitely get you a top 10 finish, maybe be able to sneak out a top 5. So we're gonna do something a little bit piggybacking off of NASCAR.com fantasy. We're gonna take a hot lap. I'm gonna give you 5 drivers, and you guys are gonna tell me if you were to put a fantasy team together, if you would put them in your lineup, or if you would not put them in your lineup. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go down the line. I'll give a driver. We'll start with Johnny, go to Michael, go to Josh, and then we'll go to me, and then I'll give you guys the next driver. So you guys ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so first off, Kurt Busch.
Huh.
Johnny, would you start him or no?
He would probably be in the garage for me.
All right, Michael?
Well, consider I don't really do fantasy, I can't really offer much, but I guess I'll say I'd start him.
Josh?
For this race, I don't know if I'd start Kurt Busch.
Okay. I don't know if I would start him either, to be honest. I think he would probably be in my garage. Next one, Kyle Larson.
Possibly start him.
I'd start.
Yeah, starting was probably a good idea here.
The fact that there's not really an outside line at Charlotte, though, I don't know if that would be a place I'd want to start Kyle Larson at. So I think I would actually bench Kyle Larson. Last year's winner. Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say though, there is a high line, but if you get much higher than the extreme high line, you'll end up finding the fence like Allmendinger did found in the All-Star race. So
yeah, but it seems like I'm just throwing this out there. At most of the mile and a half, when we've seen the driver migrate up to the top side, very few are able to actually make it really work. It's almost like the inside line and the outside line cancel each other out. So I don't really know if, even with nighttime conditions where there's more grip, I don't really know if the outside line would be able to gain that much of an advantage if Larson migrated up there. Next driver, Austin Dillon, last year's winner.
Possibly if it goes down on fuel miles like it did last year, but I don't think so. You'd be benched in my pick.
I'd put him in the garage.
I'd start him. He's pretty solid for top 15s. You know, like if anything goes wrong, you have always a mid-pack guy.
Yeah, I kind of think that I probably, if I had the choice, I'd put him in, like the garage pick. So that way, if someone wrecks, I would then move him in. I don't know if I would necessarily start him, but I would definitely have him on standby. Because, let's be honest, Richard Childress has actually had some pretty fast cars this year with Dillon and with Ryan Newman. Next driver would be Eric Jones.
Well, he's proven his capability this season, so I'll probably start him.
And Michael is dead.
I am.
You're off into another
Come on,
dimension.
Michael, get your head into the game here.
Right, what's the name of the driver?
Eric Jones.
You ever heard of him?
Yeah,
Driver
no.
that replaced
That
boy.
I'd probably put him in the garage. He hasn't really been doing much this season.
Yeah, he'd be garage for me.
Eric Jones would actually be a guy I would start because he's actually finished in the top 10 in his last 3 mile-and-a-half races, and in his 2 starts at Charlotte, he's been able to finish in the top 10 one of those times with an average finish of 12th. So I think if you're looking for a guy that's kind of under the radar that'll get you consistent finish, I would actually put him in my lineup. 5th driver, Eric Almirola.
Definitely would have to start him. He's really having a hell of a good start to his 2018.
Josh?
Eric Almirola. I think I'd start him, honestly.
Yeah, I'd start him too. His consistency, you just have to put him in the lineup there, especially with the way that Stuart Haas racing has been. And, he had a car not really to his liking and was still competitive in the All-Star race, which I thought was, or not All-Star race, but in the Open, which I thought was pretty cool that he was able to still keep his car up there in the top 5. So I definitely think you would have to start him. And I'm going to throw a sixth one out there just because Matt Kenseth, what do you think? Would you start him, or is this a track that you don't think
Oh boy.
That's tough because this is his second points race in the 6, not counting the All-Star race.
And his first start wasn't exactly a whole lot to go
His
off
first
of.
start wasn't very good at all. Got jumped in that mess with freaking William Byron. Well, I'm not going to mention because of, but that would be tough. I'd probably have to bench Kenseth, but if it got to the point he started turning up the heat, then probably he would come out of the garage for me.
Michael.
Sorry.
You're not sorry.
Wake up!
Don't lie. You're not sorry.
I totally am. I'm sorry. This time I was typing to somebody.
That's it. I led you.
All right. Last time, I swear to God. What's the question?
Matt
Would you
Kenseth.
start Matt Kenseth?
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't start Matt Kenseth either because Roush Fenway really has no speed outside of Stenhouse.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing for me. Kenseth is really good here. In his last 4 starts, he had 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, average finish of 6th, but he's in the Roush Fenway equipment.
Boy.
Now, to be fair, the 6 car with Trevor Bayne, let's not forget, what was it, 2 years ago, I think, in the Open race where he ended up having that 3-wide move and raced his way into the All-Star race. But that was then. This is now. Josh, you alluded to the fact that the Penske Fords are kind of behind the Toyotas and the Stewart-Haas Fords. Roush Fenway's even behind the Penske guys. They've got speed, but they don't have nearly as much speed as those other teams. So with the fact that he's in the equipment he's in with Roush Fenway, yeah, I can't start Kenseth. If he were in better equipment, definitely would be a starter for me. But the fact that he's in a Roush Fenway car, I'm hesitant.
Yeah, that's why I was like, yeah.
Okay. Are any of you guys in any way interested in the Indy 500 or know anything about the Indy 500? Is that worth talking about or not?
That's actually something interesting.
I said before we started this, I don't have very much knowledge of IndyCar racing or anything. I last year watched the end of the Indy 500 with Sato winning. The year before that, I didn't even know who Alexander Rossi was when he won the race.
That's when I was like, when I watched it in 2016, I was like, wait a second, who's this Alexander Rossi kid?
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth talking about that or picking favorites because I don't have a clue who's really even in there and all that. I haven't looked at the entry list.
Hold on here. Let me get.
I mean, I know that Danica Patrick's in it.
I feel like Danica's be like Fernando Alonso was last year, but maybe like 5 spots behind where he was.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. I'm looking at it now. Ed Carpenter's the pole sitter, so.
Okay.
Yep. It's Carpenter, Pagano, Power the first 3. Newgarden, Bourdais, Piggott the second 3. Danica, Castroneves, and Dixon the other 3. Then that's 7 through 9. Kanan, Lees, Andretti 10 through 12. DeMello, Hunter Ray, Kimball 13 through 15. Last year's winner, Sato, Kaiser Wickens 16 through 18. Davis and Chilton Munoz is 19 through 21st. And then Chavez, Wilson, Garum, 22nd through 24th. Beach, Servia, Hildebrand, 25th through 27th. And what the biggest surprise for me, though, to be honest with you, was Hinchcliffe not making it this year.
Hey, do you guys think we're gonna have another airborne crash like we had last year?
It could happen. I wouldn't be surprised.
It was funny after qualifying. I was wondering, can you imagine how much the racing world would explode if Danica won the Indy 500 this year?
Yeah.
Because she's not starting too bad. I mean, she has speed.
Yeah.
So it's very possible, but I don't know. Just because it's Danica with her driving skill, I just feel like she won't get up there. But can you imagine?
Yeah. So Seth typed in the chat, he's like, got a customer, so talk about whatever. Talk about whatever? I don't think we can do that. I think Michael's off into another dimension.
The one time he can get away with not being here.
Oh,
There he goes.
There he goes. Yep. Fair enough. He just said his girlfriend was there, so. Oops. Oh, that single life. Not very well. I don't want to go there. And Kev said it's not he said this was at 11:38. It was registering that he got an invite. So rip. Yeah, that's not my problem. Do you need me to resend you an invite or something? Figure out this.
Yeah, he had to update the app, so he probably does need a new invite.
Yeah, well, I'll have to see if I can get a link in here for him. That's a control room. That's I want to. Hang on. Let me see if I can do this. He's even online. Let me look. Is he even online on my friends list on Messenger? No. So I guess I can't do that. Oof.
I'd laugh if he came in here and Seth decided to end the stream.
Oh, that would be that would make him triggered. Oops. No mention of Kev. Boy. Yeah, when Kev sees that he can't get back. Well, actually. I don't know.
Oh, I got a good question for you. So, what driver with the current win that has a win currently and is still driving, do you think will not have another win? You know what I mean? Like they have a win, but they won't win another race like ever again. Essentially, that's not Matt Kenseth.
Do you think Johnson won't win a race this season? He's like 0 for 13 so far.
I know, but he's actually been showing speed the last few weeks, so I think he can get it done maybe later this season.
Later on, yeah. Bush. Chris Busher.
He said that real quick too, so yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
I forgot Bush even has a win, man.
2016 at Pocono when the race got flagged out.
Yeah, but no, I'm saying I forgot he even had one. That's how
Yeah, and that's the race that Sleek and Swift Regan Smith actually finished third. I think it was him.
But honestly, like the one thing I want to see this season is that like Gray Galding wins like the Talladega race this year, or the Daytona race. But
Yeah,
like that's like the one thing I want to see.
yeah. To be honest, I'd actually like to see Suarez win the race for once. He came close at Watkins Glen with winning that stage last year, but
I feel like Suarez will definitely get a win eventually.
he will.
But then again, we've been saying that about Chase Elliott for how long now?
We've been saying that about Chase Elliott since 2016, and he's been choking away second place finishes all these times. So, oops.
I feel like Jimmy Johnson's going to retire before Chase Elliott actually gets a points-paying win.
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
Oh yeah, I heard this morning that Jimmy Johnson was talking about
Red Bull gives you wings.
yeah, the Red Bull sponsorship. But I was wondering though, they're already sponsored by Mountain Dew, right? Like, what did Mountain block this because they own Amp Energy?
Here's the thing, okay? Monster Energy is sponsoring the Cup Series, okay? The only reason why 5 Hour Energy was allowed to stay was because it was grandfathered in. So, I don't know about Red Bull.
Well, you talk about the fact that Mountain Dew and Pepsi own Amp. They haven't even been allowed to bring the Amp sponsorship back because of the fact that Monster is the main sponsor of the series.
True.
So I honestly just don't see that happening.
I don't see it possible.
I also think it's weird too because Red Bull had left all those years ago. You know, they had sold their whole team essentially, left. You know, so I'm actually kind of surprised that they're coming back if they really do. You know.
Yep.
If they do come back, they have to get grandfather claused in, but you know.
All right, well, we're going to be ending pretty soon. Let's do one last topic. Hall of Fame inductees for 2019. Gordon, Roush, Penske, Allison, and Cool Wiki. I mean, I was stoked about that.
That's a good class right there. I'll tell you that right now.
I don't really follow the Hall of Fame stuff, to be honest. But I felt like Jeff Gordon might have been a little too early.
That's what I was just going to ask. Do you think it was too soon for Gordon to be put in? I mean, he was definitely going to be a surefire Hall of Famer anyway, but do you think it was too soon to put him in?
Honestly, in my opinion,
I think so.
You think so? I don't.
But maybe they just wanted to do like get him in now to get him out of the way because he's surefire in.
Well, he had 96%.
Now they can introduce him as Hall of Famer Jeff Gordon on the commentary team.
That's true. But he had 96% of the votes, though. That's the thing.
So with that being said, do you think that probably 2020 is going to have Dale Jr. in there?
No.
See.
But what has Junior really accomplished, though, besides winning NASCAR's most popular driver?
Isn't that enough?
2 Daytona 500 championships, 2 back-to-back Xfinity Series championships.
I don't think that constitutes being in a Hall of Fame just because your last name is Earnhardt.
Oh,
I don't know. I feel like Junior's going to get in anyway just because of how popular he is.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
In all honesty, Dale Jr. doesn't really have the career to really justify a Hall of Fame inductee.
I think he does. I just think
Does, but if you overlook the concussion stuff,
I think he would not be first in line. I think there's a number of others that would be ahead of him. I think he does have Hall of Fame caliber qualifications. I just don't know if it's necessarily enough to leapfrog a number of others.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely not.
Seeing Alan Kowicki and Davey Allison being inducted, that was great.
Yeah, cool. Wiki, if we're going to go back to the whole thing about, does Dale Jr. have the credentials? Does Davey Allison really have the credentials to be in the Hall of Fame? I mean, aside from the fact that he was involved in he had his life taken from him early, we could make the same argument there.
Yeah, looking at Alan Kowicki though, 1987 Rookie of the Year.
The first owner-driver champion.
Yeah, I'm not talking about Kowicki. I definitely think Kowicki's got the qualifications, but I'm talking about like Davey Allison.
Yeah, like I was
I
saying,
feel like
build
maybe
him in
Allison
the
could have accomplished a lot more if that accident didn't happen.
True, that's true.
Mhm.
But based on the credentials that we have, he's
Yeah,
kind of to me in the same
87.
boat as Dale Jr. is.
Yeah, because Allison accomplished. He was the Rookie of the Year in '87. Then he wins the Daytona 500 in '92, and he would have been the '92 champion if Swerve and Irvin didn't cause that little tire failure. So it's a quest of an empty cup for Allison, though.
I mean, Roush, Penske, definitely. I think as team owners, they've got the caliber to get in.
Yep.
Kulwicki, like I
Yeah, I have
said.
no questions about that.
But I mean, if we're gonna make the argument for Allison, I think we got to make the one for Junior as well.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, we'll end off this stream here. Thank you, Johnny and Josh, for joining me.
Yeah.
For this episode.
No problem. Thanks for having us.
Huh?
He was like, "Thanks for having us."
Oh, yep, no problem. And Michael was here, but he left. But thank you to him, and thank you to everybody that kept up in the chat as well. Like I said, if we are back here next Friday, if I'm working, we'll have another stream, cover the 600 and everything. And it'll run from 11 a.m. to 12 noon.
You already know, Seth. You are working. That is my birthday, so I would have to crash the stream. You know that.
True. And
I'd have to crash the
if anybody
stream and
wants
then
to join us for
play
the next
basketball.
future, if anyone wants to join us for the next future episode, let me know, and I will get you the invite when the stream goes up and all that. If I'm not working, we won't have the stream. If we'll have to wait until the next week or whenever the next Friday is that I'm working. But until then, we'll see you guys next time. Enjoy the Indy 500 and the Coke 600 on Sunday.
And Monaco. Don't forget about that.
I don't watch Monaco, so I didn't even know.
I had to throw that one in there.